Welcome into the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper. We've got Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us as the Cowboys come out on top 33-17. A dominating win up in Cleveland as they go on the road to Huntington Bank Stadium and take care of business in Cleveland. I'll start with you, Barry. I mean, the defense. What else can you say about what they did early on? The defense with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, DeMarvion Overshown, a little bit of everybody. Trayvon Diggs with a pick at the end. Eric Kendricks, the newcomer. Where do you start on the defensive side?
I mean, everybody came to play. I mean, Mike Zimmer had these guys dialed in from the beginning. They were out there playing like their hair was on fire. It was insane. 6 sacks total out there defensively. You saw DeMarcus Lawrence getting after the pass rusher. Micah Parsons, I think he had 8 or 9 pressures total, but the guy was all over Deshaun Watson out there. And you loved what the secondary did out there. They kept everything in front of them. Communications was a key. We knew that going into there because they switched defensive coordinators. And that's not an easy thing to do, go from one scheme to another. But these guys picked it up fast. They were communicating out there. They let the young rookie know that they had their back. And I'm talking about Kalen Carson out there. The man played, I believe he played one of his better games. I mean, he was out there, 2 pass breakups. You saw the energy he was bringing to this defensive side of the football. But the quarterback of the defense, Kendricks, he was all over the place. He was out there, had an interception. I believe he had a couple pressures as well. But the defense was playing lights out. You love to see what they were able to do, and especially on third down. They held Cleveland to 2 of 15 on third down. When you held a team to 2 of 15 on third down, you have a great chance of winning. Kudos to that Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I think it starts with the defensive line, purely just with those guys up front. They lived on the opposing side of the line of scrimmage. And when you can have a defensive front that literally makes their home, builds a tent, gets the s'mores out and everything else in the backfield, and they apply pressures, they apply sacks, they get tipped balls, they force fumbles, and ultimately they get interceptions, then you can make it a long day for opposing offenses, and that's exactly what they made it for today for Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns.
And that's the typical Zim's defense. You know, he give you multiple looks, but he depended on that front four to stay stable. There was, 19 carries for 93 yards. We talked about that the whole game. What's wrong with Coach Stefanski? He normally runs the ball an average of 30 times a game, but they didn't do it today. So, hey, hats off to this defense.
And a lot of times we'll go from the offensive unit to the defensive unit, or like today when the defense leads the way. You start with the defense, you go to the offense. But I think the second team and second unit that needs to be mentioned is special teams, because Brandon Aubrey was phenomenal.
He got robbed.
He did. He totally got robbed. The 66-yard field goal, the play clock malfunctions, or whatever ends up happening. You could have called a timeout there too, I guess. They had all 3 of them. But nonetheless, he was incredible. Kevontae Turpin with a punt return touchdown for the first time in the regular season. Nate, I mean, seeing special teams do what they did today could be a complete game changer.
Especially early in the season, you know, for them to be unified like that and to make the plays in the blocks that they had for Turpin to go that 60-yard where he was just directing traffic. You ever did anything like that?
Yeah, I tried. No, I think the special teams, obviously, anytime you can add a third dimension to this game, especially when there's only 3 dimensions of the game, I think it's huge. So to have the impact that those guys are having early on, minus the kickoff return game, because that's not really going to be a thing. Unfortunately, this year, teams just don't care enough about that 30-yard line penalty. So you're still not going to get the returns you want in the kickoff return, but when you can get punt returns out of it, watch out.
And it's a special weapon. When you can cross the 50-yard line as a team and automatically assume that we have gotten at least 3 points out of this drive. I mean, that's a weapon that you have to have. He was on point the entirety of this game.
Well, you think about if, let's say, Turpin crosses the 50, and then you have Brandon Aubrey that can kick a field goal. I mean, that's 2 players on special teams alone that can almost automatically end up with 3 points.
Well, there's 2 facets to that. The 2 players you guys just mentioned, You talk about Kevontae Turpin. Kevontae Turpin, being the return specialist that he is, you don't want to kick him the ball on kickoff, right? So what do? Kick it out the end zone. Where does the offense get the ball now? 30-yard line. Yeah. So all you need now is 2 first downs or 1 big play, 20 yards, and all of a sudden Dallas Cowboys can score points. That is a danger to opposing teams. You got to pick your poison. Do we want to give these guys guaranteed points, or do we want to give Kevontae Turpin a chance to hurt us in a big play?
There's a lot of things about this game, this team, that looked like it went to plan in week 1. It won't always look that way. It's a long season, but this is a happy week 1 first word. We've got more post-game coverage coming your way in a matter of moments. We'll talk more about the offensive side of things. They had some ups and some downs as well. We'll also talk about the contract news that broke pregame with Dak Prescott now locked up for 4 years, $240 million. We leave you with the final stats presented by Miller Lite. Cowboys game night and Cowboys OT. We'll take you through the rest of the night and post-game reaction following a 33-17 Dallas Cowboys win over the Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys are 1-0 on the season.